Hey there, Coach Tim, having my morning coffee, and I thought I'd do a Sunday sermon. Haven't done one in a couple of weeks. Just finished the first week of camp. I feel like a month has gone by because it's just nonstop busy. I wanted to talk about something that I'm trying to do within my team, and that I've actually have experienced as an adult, regular person, not a coach, not a football player. And so I wanted to talk about team, and I'll start it by, I don't know if you've ever heard the song by Kenny Chesney, The Boys of Fall. And gosh, anybody who has played football, has experienced football, you listen to the words of that song and you get it, right? You're right back. Yeah, yes, sir. We'll take the ball, right? You mess with one of us, you mess with us all. Walking down the uniform on or jersey on, walking down the hall. Just crazy. In the sense of pride and team that you create on a football team. There's no other place on earth that creates team like that. In any sport, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Football is the only sport where you can experience this kind of team bonding. It's what I'm trying to create right now with my new young team. Maybe the only place, well, probably for sure the only place on earth other than football where this happens is in the military. And my theory for this is because there's danger. And in football, definitely probably more perceived danger than there really is. So, but you work. I mean, I had guys. I mean, it's hotter than heck out here in LA. It's not really hot. It's humid. It's suffocating. And we had guys throwing up on last week. We had guys having to take themselves out. We had to sit them the whole day with the trainer, and so going through that kind of adversity, that kind of pain, it bonds you. Yesterday we had a Saturday morning practice, and one of the guys couldn't do something. He's just physically not strong enough to do it. And it was like out of a movie. All of a sudden, I didn't say to do this. All the kids said, come on, let's go help him. And it started with one. Important there. It started with one guy running over there and then doing the drill with the other kid at his speed. Pretty soon everybody followed. So anyway, last night I'm flipping through my Roku, and I always end up on YouTube, and I saw the Kenny Chesney song, and it just brought me back. It made me think of the team concept. And then I was bouncing around and I saw Hard Knocks, an HBO documentary on the Cleveland Browns. And so I was interested because I played with the quarterback was Hugh Jackson, who is he's the head coach, and then also the tight end coach is Greg Seaman, who I recently interviewed on my podcast, and he is a great guy. Gave a great interview, by the way. If you care about team building and culture building, you gotta listen to it. I had my buddy, who's I also interviewed, it's a high school coach, Scott Morrison, called me up and complained after listening to it. He says, "Thanks a lot. You just made me late. I could not stop. He's like a lot of football coaches, not too technical, so he had to like sit there, and I think he listened to it on his laptop at work. He couldn't figure out how to do it through his car. So anyway, so and he was like, "Man, you just made me late because I could not put this down. It was so good." So what I was amazed at was I haven't seen Hugh, the coach. I haven't seen him, I don't think, since I played with him. So how many years is that, right? 35-ish? 30 to 35-ish years? And, you know, they show everything. And he was going through grief because he just lost his mom and I think his sister. And, like, within a week. And I'm sitting there grieving with him. I'm sitting there watching him and having amazing empathy with him, for him. And I haven't seen him in years. I haven't talked with him in years. That's team. I remember at a party years ago in college, a teammate, Dennis McGowan. And when a bunch of us guys were sitting around, we're probably drinking beer, don't tell anybody. And it was outside at what they called the quads up at Pacific. And we're just talking, you know, just doing dude stuff. And I remember Dennis, I never forget it, he goes, 30, 40 years from now, you ever need me, to just blanket statement to the guys, I got your back. That's just how we roll. We're teammates. And the fact is, 30 some odd years later, he took care of a teammate who desperately needed help. Amazing. As did many of the other teammates. That's the way a team rolls. So I want to leave you with a little story. A friend of mine who I never really had the chance to talk about what he does. One day we started talking about team. And I said, well, you know, team is so bastardized in the normal world. To me, it's a holy word. I mean, you don't mess with it because it's meaningful. If you've ever been on a real team like football, where you're willing to give up your body for your teammate, then you have a connection, and I don't know how that can be done in the real world. And I said, so it doesn't happen. And, I just said, authoritatively. And Mike goes, this friend of mine, Mike Moore, goes, excuse me? He goes, that's what I teach to the corporations all over the country. I teach them to build teams. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But how do you do that when everybody has financial incentive? And I'm still hoping to get Mike on a podcast to explain that, because it's a fascinating topic to me. It also would be useful at higher levels as you get into pro sports, pro football. One of the problems with football is, in my opinion, is not concussions as much as it is sportsmanship. And a lot of it is because of what I call the me culture. Me, 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 me. This is why high school kids transfer 2 and 3 times in a 4-year career, so they can, do better, so that they can get get into a better situation so they could be recruited. So Mike had explained, well, how he came up. He grew up with a great football coach dad who was big on team and understood how to build it. And he built a career using the things his dad had taught him. And so one of the interesting things Mike's done, and this I love giving examples of this kind of stuff, because people think, oh, you just can't do this, and people prove you can do whatever you want to do most of the time. Mike basically socially engineered a meeting with John Wooden at his house. 3 meetings with John Wooden. Okay, he did it through the UCLA offices and ended up getting Wooden's number and spoke with the Wizard of Westwood. Basically 3 days. Learned a lot, and teaches it. So he says, yes, this is what I do. I build teams through corporations and help them to work together. So why I'm talking about team and why this is all coming around is, a lot of times to build team, to exert your self as a teammate, it takes risk, especially when we are so. I gotta move this. My arm. I must have bought the heaviest selfie stick. I'll tell you guys, because I'm kind of strong, right? So, I'm sorry. So we have to take a risk, just like the guy on my team who jumped out to help our teammate do his workout, which made everybody else do the workout. It spread like a virus throughout the team. So what I'm saying is I've had personal friends who have done this also in the last week or two, on some issues that they figured out that I was going through, and they risked, and it's not easy in a manly man world to risk and say, hey man, I gotta say this to you, and be a leader on me. And 2 of the guys, one's Adam Goodson, my hypnotist friend, and he markets for Kenrick Cleveland, his great sales products. He just got into my head and said, stop the bullshit. Same thing with a friend and client, John Islanian. Sat down with him. We started talking because we've been with each other so long now. We end up talking about my kids. He doesn't have kids, but his personal stuff and my personal stuff. And he detected, and he goes, dude, stop the bullshit. And same thing. He risked, and risking for a teammate is important. Just like my buddy, my kid on my team did the other day for his buddy on the team. So be a teammate. Be a teammate. And it spreads, just like I'm spreading this right now. Thank you guys. I hope you find these Sunday sermons useful. And I'll hopefully be able to keep going through as we get busier during the season. But I wanted to share that with you because any of these football lessons are really life lessons. They're not specific to just football. Hardly ever talk X's and O's or schemes or even techniques, unless it's something very specific to a topic like safe tackling and stuff. I've had Bobby Hosea and Scott Peterson on last year talking about that stuff specifically. But when I just sit here and talk football, or like even when Greg Seaman came on, it's about culture and team. Well, again, Mike Moore, my friend I just told you about, said this applies in the real world. It applies in family. You know, who's your biggest team? It's your family. Should be. You know, can you know, sometimes still it's hard to tell somebody in the family how you're feeling, what you're going through, and you take a risk and you become transparent, and then there's trust, and you know, part of building a team, this is not football research, this is Google research, is psychological safety. You have to have psychological safety. But you have to risk. And you're more willing to risk when you feel that you're not going to get crushed by a teammate. This is Coach Tim out. SEO's only football coach. How about that? Thanks, guys. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.